Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Here today to discuss about WWF Raw is War, October 6th, 1997 retro review. Took the time to go ahead and watch this episode, the entire thing from the beginning to the end, not skipping one single thing, to give you guys a full-fledged review. And I have to say, this episode was actually really good from beginning to end almost. There was a few things I didn't particularly care for. One being Marc Mero versus Miguel Perez, which was not that big of a match. Miguel Perez loses to Marc Mero in that match, by the way, by a F5 turned into an RKO kind of combination type maneuver. I think they called it the TKO for Marc Mero's finishing maneuver. But yeah, that match wasn't all that big of a deal. There was talks about Brian Pillman at the time because on October 5th during Bad Blood, he did pass away before the event took place. And so they were honoring him and his passing, which I thought was a great thing. His wife was distraught later on in the show when Vince McMahon talked to his wife, Brian Pillman's wife. And Vince McMahon seemed very concerned, very considerate, very professional in this interview. He seemed like he cared a lot. It didn't seem like it was phony, fake, or anything indifferent. She said that Brian Pillman died of a heart attack. If you're familiar with Brian Pillman's passing and have researched it or at least know anything about it or even watched Dark Side of the Ring, you probably would know a lot more about it than I do. I just know based off of my research on Brian Pillman in the past about him. So I was always interested in knowing why he technically passed away. They were mentioning that there was painkillers involved that he was taking, and they believe that might have been the cause of his passing, which if that's the case, I feel totally bad. Brian Pillman Jr. is actually mentioned when he was only 4 years old in 1997 about his dad being told that his dad passed away, and he didn't really understand from what his mom said. His adopted sister, well, not really adopted sister, they share the same father, but they come from a different mother. She lost her mother and her father and was crying over the passing of that. So that was kind of heartfelt stuff. I almost kind of cried a little bit. It's kind of weird. The thing happened like 24 years ago. That's a long time ago, man. Long time. So basically, what else happened on the show? Shawn Michaels came out, celebrated his victory over The Undertaker at Bad Blood's Hell in a Cell match, which, if you haven't seen that match, the very first Hell in a Cell, you ought to go back and watch it. It was fucking awesome. No matter how many times I see it, it's still fucking cool to watch. And it was just a first time ever match. So Shawn Michaels, he's coming out, he's talking shit, he's acting all cocky, he's acting like an asshole, plain and simple, loving the shit out of it. Triple H is along with him. Triple H was officially called Triple H at this point, all the way through the show. They didn't mention Hunter Hearst Helmsley ever again throughout this entire episode. He was called Triple H. This is the episode he was officially called Triple H, and that's what they called him throughout the entire show and throughout his rest of his career. So they're standing there in the middle of the ring with Michael Cole, which I believe was Michael Cole's first big interview ever. And he's standing in the middle of the ring, and they're goofing on him, they're tugging on him, they're grabbing him by the head, they're giving him a noogie and all that shit. I thought it was the funniest load of shit. He looked like he was about to laugh. Really. I think he was about to laugh at the whole situation. I don't think he took offense to it or felt uncomfortable. He just felt like he was just goofing off along with them, even though he's supposed to be the victim in this bully scenario that they were doing. Acting like two children in school and acting like complete goofballs, and they're actually heels at the same time. I thought that shit was great. They were initially calling themselves the Clique, which is interesting at first. I'm still trying to find when they officially called themselves D-Generation X. Bret Hart later on came out and he said to them, "You guys are nothing more than a bunch of degenerates." And I'm assuming that at some point in the next couple of weeks, up or after Survivor Series, they called themselves D-Generation X, which was kind of cool that Bret Hart was kind of the help to name their group Degenerates. So that was kind of neat. Before Bret Hart even came out during this promo, Shawn Michaels started talking a lot of shit to Vince McMahon. He said, "Hey, you want to see something really cool, guys? Look at the work I did to The Undertaker at Bad Blood inside the first ever Hell in a Cell." They go ahead and they wait for a video to come up, and he looks at Vinnie Mac and he says, "Hey, I know that we don't got rocket scientists working in the production truck, but can we at least get the damn video to pop up here? I mean, what the hell's going on?" And then all of a sudden, a fucking video comes up of 1996 with Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, or Scott Hall is his real name, and Shawn Michaels and Triple H all in the ring inside of a steel cage back in Madison Square Garden, 96. And he goes, "Oh my God, look at this. Hey, it's Diesel. It's Razor Ramon. Hey, yeah." And Triple H goes, "Yeah, and it's you, Shawn Michaels. You're on the screen." He goes, "And yeah, you are too." Oh my God. Talk about breaking the fourth wall. This is fucking hilarious shit. And Vince McMahon's getting all upset. He's not like screaming, but he feels like, let's go to commercial break, get this shit off, blah, blah, blah. And Shawn Michaels, I guess, hears him in the commentator booth. And he looks at him and he goes, "Oh, what's the matter, Vinnie Mac? Did I strike a nerve? Did I break the rules? Is your father rolling over in his grave?" I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy. So they're bullying on Vince McMahon in the process. This is fucking crazy shit. This is stuff you don't see in wrestling anymore. Attitude, characters that are fucking flamboyant, fucking crazy and full of intensity. This was just off-the-wall craziness, this whole entire segment. I enjoyed the shit out of this. This was fun as hell to watch. And I've seen it before, but, I mean, no matter how many times I see it, it's great stuff. I mean, there's countless, comedy movies I've seen that I've seen several times and still laugh at it. So this is, like, no different. This is great stuff. Bret Hart, he goes ahead, he comes out after all this bullshit's going on. And he says, "Hey, you know what? You guys are nothing more than a bunch of degenerates. You guys have no class. You Americans have no class." And he's doing this Canada thing and Canada versus America, which was a great fucking storyline. Probably one of the best stuff that's ever been done in WWE, in my opinion. And legitimately, it was real. I mean, you could clearly tell Canadians were acting out on U.S. Wrestlers, which was fucking crazy. If you don't believe me, go back and watch Canadian Stampede. That was fucking nuts. That was in 97 as well, earlier in the year in July, just before SummerSlam. So, crazy shit. But, one thing led to another, and eventually Bret Hart just said, "Look, I want to face Triple H here tonight. I'm going to kick his ass." And he goes, and Shawn Michaels goes, "Whoa, wait. Why? You're supposed to be facing me." And he goes, oh no, you and I are at Survivor Series. I'm saving that shit for Survivor Series. I'm going to kick your ass. But tonight, I want to show Triple H some work that why they call me the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And he says, "Until you have this WWF championship, you ain't shit," basically is what he said. So the match was made. It was the main event of the show. The very first match immediately following that segment was the Headbangers beating the Godwins, who just won the WWF Tag Team titles at Bad Blood. And this match wasn't all that great anyway. It was a lumberjack match. I mean, you guys know what lumberjack matches are. Not too many lumberjack matches are any good. It's mostly trash. But yeah, the Headbangers win and get a 50-50 booking situation here in this matchup. They actually do a roll-up pin, too. This is modern-day WWE kind of shit, what we saw in this match. If you watch this episode, you would see that that was some modern-day crap that we see today, which really kind of pissed me off. But then again, it was one match that took place with a roll-up pin. The rest of the matches were really good. Next was Mark Mero versus Miguel Perez. I already told you guys what happened there. Mark Mero won that match. It wasn't a terrible match, but it wasn't all that entertaining. I really didn't care for it. Sable was more the entertaining part about the whole thing. She really took over his career and put him out of work, in my opinion. I don't think too many people will disagree with me on that one. Next following that was, it was actually the British Bulldog versus Rocky Maivia. And Rocky Maivia lost to the British Bulldog in this match, which was probably the best match of the night. Very good stuff. Good wrestling overall. The Rock wasn't bad in the match. So, not a bad match whatsoever. Definitely a match I would go back and watch anyway. There's only two matches I'd skip, and that's the first two I mentioned. The rest of the matches after that were really fun stuff to watch. We also had a segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. They were discussing about the contract situation with Stone Cold with his neck that occurred in 1997 SummerSlam. And he went ahead and he said, look, he goes ahead and Vince McMahon asks him, so I don't see that you have your doctor papers showing that you're cleared to wrestle. And he goes, I haven't been to a doctor, jackass. Why would I have doctor papers anyway to clear me? Stone Cold Steve Austin. Man, that motherfucker, before The Rock became The Rock, Stone Cold was the fucking shit on the mic, man. He stole the show every fucking week on Monday Night Raw. There was nobody on Raw or Nitro that could even come close to what Austin used to do on the microphone. That guy was fucking unbelievable. The quick reactions, the attitude, the fucking intensity, everything that came out of his mouth was pure fire and adrenaline. I don't understand why we can't see guys even remotely close to that anymore. It's fucking ridiculous. But, yeah, Austin was on point in this segment. He actually had quite a few other segments throughout the weeks coming up to this point that he was just unbelievable. Like September 22nd, 1997's episode. Holy shit. That was fucking crazy. He goes ahead and he says to Vince, now I understand the WWF is concerned about my health. I greatly appreciate that. But you know what? Here's to you, and you can go straight to hell. He fucking stunners. Oh, no, he didn't say that. He goes, the WWF care about me. Well, hell, you can kiss my ass. And he stuns his ass and fucking... Vince McMahon gave the worst freaking Stone Cold Stunner seller on that move I have ever seen in my life. And not to mention, Vince McMahon's probably one of the worst in-ring performers of all time. Out of any wrestler I've ever seen in my life, he's probably the worst. God almighty. That shit was fucking cool. But yeah, here, they pretty much worked out an idea. Austin said, look, I didn't see a freaking doctor. That's why I ain't got papers to clear me to wrestle. So, He said, look, I'll go ahead and sign the dotted lines, but I'm not a fucking jackass. I'm not a retard. I'm not going to just sign some piece of paper and then go ahead and say, okay, I'm ready to perform. There's only one way I'm going to get my ass back in a ring and take a chance of breaking my neck or injuring myself and paralyzing myself, and that's me getting a shot at Owen Hart again and kicking his ass and taking the Intercontinental Championship. So that was a stipulation thrown in there before he can sign the dotted lines. Farouk comes out of nowhere, and he's pretty pissed off. He's blaring shit out on the Titantron, saying a bunch of bullshit about how people in his town, his city, or whatever, his family, had to fight for everything they get, the food that they get, clothes on their back, being able to not have anything during Christmas. Everybody gets a brand new bike, and his family don't get shit for his siblings. Stuff like that. And Austin said, look, you know what? Once this deal is taken care of, I have no problem going ahead and kicking your ass too, because it ain't a racist thing. It's just me kicking your ass thing. So that was fucking great stuff. Following that, we had Owen Hart defending the Intercontinental Championship against Hawk from the Legion of Doom. Probably one of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling ever. This match was alright for what it was. The Godwins actually interfered in this match. They have a rivalry going on with the Legion of Doom. They hit him in the face with some piece of material that was on one of the Godwins' hands, a horseshoe, and he hit him in the head. And Hawk was kind of knocked out. Owen just took advantage of whatever he could to get out of the match and retain his title and got the 1, 2, 3. And that was basically it. It was a decent match. I mean, I think it went like 5 minutes or so. Nothing extreme or in depth that they did during this matchup. But it is what it is. But it wasn't a bad match. Following that, they actually had a segment where the Hardy Boys were looking like they were going to make a debut match, because leading up to this episode, I did not see them in any kind of matchup on any of the Raw episodes. So I was assuming this was their in-ring debut, supposedly, and instead, they were attacked by you-know-who, Kane, which was mind-boggling. By the way, I happened to see that Jeff Hardy had Nero written on his pants. Matt Hardy had Matt Hardy written on his, but Jeff Hardy had Nero written on his pants, which I thought was absolutely funny, because back in 2016, Matt Hardy was calling Jeff Hardy Brother Nero, which they hardly ever mention that name for Jeff Hardy, as Nero being his middle name, which I found surprising. And the only time I ever saw the word Nero is in this episode with Jeff Hardy, which was fucking crazy. It's kind of funny. And Kane destroyed both of them, threw them out of the ring, and then Paul Bearer just started talking, shooting the shit, basically saying, look, Undertaker, you went ahead. I wanted you back. I wanted to be with you. You pushed me away. Blah, 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 blah. So I've brought Kane with me. And I'm going to make you suffer. And you're going to see every single person around you on this roster get destroyed until you come to grips with facing Kane one-on-one. Which this has a great build going into it all the way to WrestleMania 14. So this was a great build. They had a lot of emotional pull going on with Undertaker leading to this whole situation. So great stuff by them. Just giving you guys kind of a foreshadowing of what's going to take place. I hope you guys, whoever watches these reviews, I hope you watch the episodes, before you catch the review, just so you have an understanding of what it is, or at least if you do have an understanding, go back and watch them for enjoyment purposes, to make it a little bit fun and entertaining to do this follow-along review stuff. So, hey, if you got the Peacock, by all means, I mean, take advantage of it. It's well worth the time. These episodes are well worth watching anyway. They're better than anything that Monday Night Raw is going to give you. I'm going to actually catch Monday Night Raw tonight and give you guys my insight on how the audience was like during the show, and if Monday Night Raw improved a little bit or even was watchable. It's going to be a huge decision on my part whether or not I'm going to continue watching Monday Night Raw and giving you guys reviews on it. More than likely, I have a good insight that this show is going to be shit. It's not going to be like Money in the Bank was. It's not going to be. I really won't. But maybe I'll be wrong, and if that's the case, terrific. I got a reason to have Monday Night Raw back on my reviews throughout the week, and I will add that back to my weekly reviews. Otherwise, they are staying off this channel because I'm not going to waste 3 hours of my life watching garbage. But going back to Raw as War, October 6, 1997 review. Where was that? Oh, yeah. Kane went ahead and he destroyed Jeff Hardy and so forth. And Paul Bear's mentioned about if he doesn't do the match with Kane, Kane's going to just destroy everybody on this roster until he gives him a yes towards that match. And then the main event was Bret the Hitman Hart, the WWF World Champion, going up against Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, in a non-title match, which Triple H wins in a countout. Bret Hart does not eat a loss, technically. He gets super kicked in the face, sweet chin music, whatever way you want to call it, on the outside of the ring, with the referee distracted, and he gets counted out to 10. Before the match even got near the end, they had Shawn Michaels right by the Canadian flag, and he was using it like it was a fucking piece of toilet paper or tissue, trying to get boogers out of his nose, and he shoved it up his nose. And he's walking around with it in his nose, and it's fucking acting goofy as hell. Before he even gets to the ring, he starts groin chopping everybody, telling them all to suck it. I'm like, what the fuck? Jesus Christ, dude. But, I mean, it is what it is. That was the character he was portraying on TV, so there you go. But, yeah, at the end, Shawn Michaels happens to help Triple H win this matchup by countout. Triple H walks away surprised. He gets carried on Shawn Michaels' shoulders and has his hand raised in the air in surprise, and he's like, yes, I did it, kind of attitude. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. God, DX was a fucking awesome faction. Great stuff. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. This was a very good episode. If you haven't seen this episode, definitely go back and watch it. It's well worth your time, at least for an hour and 30 minutes. It's a short 90-minute, episode, so nothing, too crazy. But if you want to skip any matches, I would recommend not watching the first two matches, Mark Marrow and the Lumberjack match that kickstarted the show. Other than that, everything else is well worth watching. You're not wasting your time. So definitely check that out. And I will speak to you guys next week for Raw is War, October 13th, 1997's episode. So at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll speak to you again either later on tonight about Monday Night Raw's episode, or give you guys a short review tomorrow night before NXT about Monday Night Raw. Speak to you later, guys, and keep safe. Bye.